As Britain's economic recovery gathers pace and consumer confidence improves, a growing number of people are deciding that now is the time to buy a new car.
I don't think there has been a better time, really. I mean, they're doing 0% finance here. There can't be much better time. You know, change, get a new car.
2013 was the best year for the car industry since before the financial crisis began. There were 2.26 million new car registrations. That's a 10.8% increase on the previous year. And the car industry is gearing up for another bumper year ahead.
Roughly 3/4 of all cars sold to private buyers last year were sold on credit. But the chairman of Vauxhall Motors isn't too concerned. People in the UK may still love spending money, but he isn't worried about a return to the bad old days.
What hasn't changed is the scrutiny that's put on lending this money in the vehicle marketplace. There's still very stringent checks, and so whilst it's low rate credit, you've still got to be very credit worthy in order to qualify for that. So I don't think there's any kind of bubble developing.
But while sales in the UK have soared, it's a very different picture in the rest of Europe. New car purchases in France, Germany and Italy all fell in 2013. Spain was the only other big European market to see a rise in sales. And yet austerity policies have been pursued by governments across Europe. So what makes the UK different?
The UK customer has a greater confidence than their European counterparts. We didn't go through or didn't suffer the same impact on the Eurozone crisis as others did. And car manufacturers have recognised it and started really driving car volumes in the UK, tremendous values in terms of pricing and incentives.
One of the big drivers of the growth in UK car sales has been the rise of the Personal Car Plan, or PCP. A huge success story for the industry, but one not without dangers.
I mean, the real story behind the growth in UK car sales recently has been PCP, where a buyer can pay off half the price of the car over 36 months in instalments and then a lump sum after 3 years. Now, what that does mean is that people who maybe wouldn't want to pay a whole price of a car can afford one, but also that at the end of those 3 years, the first 3 years, you can trade in that lump sum for a deposit on another new car, which gives the car manufacturers yet another customer 3 years down the line. Of course, the problem with that is that if used car prices fall due to a huge amount of supply, then that end of 3-month trade-in won't be worth anything. If the used car market is flushed with supply and values in the used car market fall, then there won't be any incentive for people to trade in these cars at the end of 3 years, and you'll see new car sales drop.
The UK's coalition government has welcomed the rise in car sales as further proof that its economic plan is working. But Martin Wolf, the Financial Times chief economics commentator, has concerns over any economic recovery based on easy access to cheap credit.
Consumer spending is, as usual, playing a central role in this recovery. We hope that other things will follow, but it's clearly not export-led. The government is reducing its spending, so it's basically going to be consumption, and then we hope investment will follow. One of the things that does worry me, unquestionably, is that we come out of the crisis with what is still very high debt levels, not as high as when we went in, but still very high debt levels by historical standards, and now we're expecting them to rise again. And there is a question about how sustainable that can be, particularly if, as sometime will happen, interest rates start to rise.
New car sales in the UK rose 7.6% in January, raising hopes in the car industry that 2014 could be just as good a year for sales as 2013. But some economists remain concerned about the sustainability of a debt-driven recovery. Daniel Garrahan, Financial Times, London.